I'm going to use this form as a guide to draw in a more realistic chair. So right now I have the basic proportions, but let's say I want to turn this into more of a like really comfy looking chair. One of the things that I'm going to do is I'm going to add in like a nice comfy looking cushion on this platform. One of the ways to make something look nice and plush is to curve your edge lines. So wherever you would normally have that parallel line, it's still going to be there, but it's going to curve out from that. So now I have a nice comfy front here, and then I can still follow those perspective lines for my cushion. And maybe I even want to give the back of it some tufting, so I might come across the back and make a little grid about where my tufting's going to be, put in my little dots, and then give it some curves to these lines here. And you can look at examples of a chair. It doesn't all have to be just from your memory. You could look one up, and using the chair that you've drawn as a guide, try to draw in the same details. So then, let's see, I want my armchair to also be nice and rounded out. So I'm going to round that and then continue that back. Oops, that went too high. Towards this point. Getting a nice curvature to there, and I might even bring it out a little bit, making that into a cylinder instead of that harsh edge. Okay, now this curvature kind of continues until it hits the back. Then I have to think about how that transitions. I'm just going to add a nice little swoop, and then it's going to curve up here too. Okay, maybe I also want to give it some legs, so maybe the box seat comes down, but then I have a leg that kind of sits in here. And then comes across like that. Oh, too far in. And just repeating that shape within the boundaries of a perspective line. Maybe this is a little smaller actually. Okay. Fix that a little bit. Drawing those with my eraser. And now suddenly I have something that's looking a lot more like a detailed chair. I don't need you to get it to being like photorealistic by any means. One, we haven't started doing any shading yet, and that will really help. But two, I just want you to start thinking about how these forms can be transformed. So how can we use the skills that we've already built up to make our drawings more realistic, but also to be able to quickly draw in those forms and then go back in and add the details. So this is this chair from a 2-point perspective. I realize, okay, I can't see that back leg, so I don't need to draw it in. Let's look what happens if I had chosen 1-point perspective. Once again, you're choosing either 1 or 2-point to flesh out a single view in. Get everything tucked away here. There we go. All right. So here, if I was going to do the same thing in 1-point, I'm going to choose this chair here. So once again, I'm going to come in and say, okay, this is where I want the bottom of that box to cut off. Here are my legs. I can use that guideline to keep them proportional. This is the box of the seat. I want this nice and rounded. I want to round this out. Make those into cylinders instead. Cylinders that kind of collide with my box shape. Okay. And then I can use this back box to draw my grid in. Put in my tufting. And it wouldn't have to be an armchair like this. You could also choose to do, oops, those always go out, not in. You wouldn't have to choose an armchair like this. You could easily do more like a dining room chair. It can be any sort of seating you want. So I'm just asking for that sketch to be fleshed out a little bit more. I'm not asking for a perfect chair rendering. Any questions about the assignment here? I'll go in and double check the wording to say it doesn't say things like pages or whatnot, and to make sure that it specifies you're going to draw 3 views in 1-point, and then 3 views in 2-point. Choose just one of those views and flesh it out for either 3-point or 1-point. You don't have to do 2 fleshed out. I just did that for a demo.